Hello guys, this is Divya and I'm back with another episode of Personalities. Today we will be discussing about a legendary figure from Indian history, Rani of Jhansi, Rani Lakshmi Bai. And before I begin, I would like to request you to subscribe Vysh IAS channel if you haven't yet. Also, press the bell notification so that you never miss an update. And please watch all the videos, of the foundational as well as these videos which are coming, and be consistent in your studies. Right now, let us start. So Rani Lakshmi Bai, she was the Rani of Jhansi. She was an Indian queen and Maharani of the Maratha princely state of Jhansi from 1843 to 1853. She was the wife of Maharaja Gangadhar Rao. She was one of the leading figures of the Indian rebellion of 1857, or we can say independence, right? Indian independence. Indian struggle from independence, and became a symbol of resistance to the British Raj for Indian nationalists. Now let us know about her early life. So she was born on 19th November 1828. There is some dispute about her year, but still this is the most accepted one, that is 19 November 1828 in the town of Varanasi. And Varanasi is in Uttar Pradesh, as we know. She was born into an Marathi family, and her name was actually birth name was Manikarnika Tambe, and she was nicknamed as Manu. Her father was Moropant Tambe, mother was Bhagirathi Sapre or Bhagirathi Bai, as she was called. Her parents came from the Tambe village of the Gohagar Taluka, located in the Ratnagiri district of Maharashtra. Her father was the commander of the war of Kalyan Prant, of course in Maratha Empire. So such was the expanse of Maratha Empire at that time. Her father worked for Peshwa Bajirao II of Bithur district, and the Peshwa used to call her Chabili, which means beautiful and lively and cheerful. She was educated at home and was taught to read and write, and where she was very much independent in her childhood itself, and at the age of her she was much independent than other children of her age. And her studies also included shooting, horsemanship, fencing, malakhamba, which is kind of a wrestling, with her childhood friends Nana Sahib and Tatya Tope. Then Manikarnika was married to Maharaja of Jhansi, Gangadhar Rao Nevalkar, in May 1842, and afterwards she was called Lakshmi. She was called Lakshmi Bai in honor of the Hindu goddess Devi Lakshmi. September 1851, she gave birth to a boy who was called Damodar Rao, but he died. After 4 months of birth. Then Maharaja Gangadhar Rao, he adopted a child called Anand Rao. He was the son of Gangadhar Rao's cousin, and he was renamed as Damodar Rao. And soon after a day, Maharaja Gangadhar died. And then after the death of Maharaja in November 1853, because Damodar Rao was not a biological son, he was an adopted one. So the British East India Company, under the Lord Dalhousie, Governor General, he was the Governor General, he applied doctrine of lapse. As you know, it was an attempt to annex all the princely states, and many of the states were annexed through this. So doctrine of lapse was one of these. So this doctrine of lapse, it rejected Damodar Rao's claim to the throne and annexed the states to its territory. And when she was informed of this, she said, "मैं अपनी झांसी नहीं दूंगी," which means I shall not surrender my Jhansi. Then in May 1854, Rani Laxmibai was given an annual pension of rupees 60,000 and ordered to leave the palace and the fort. But according to the Vishnu Bhatt Godse, Rani used to exercise at weightlifting, wrestling and steeplechasing before breakfast, and she was an intelligent and simply dressed woman, and she ruled in a business-like manner. Then the revolt of 1857. So on 10th May 1857, Indian rebellion started in Meerut. When news of the rebellion reached Jhansi, the Jhansi raised a body of armed men for her own, Rani of Jhansi, she raised a body of armed men for her own protection. Then in the summer of 1857, she conducted a Haldi Kumkum ceremony with pomp in front of all Jhansi women, to provide assurance to her subjects and to convince them that the British were cowards and should not be afraid of. And then in June 1857, rebels of the 12th Bengal Native Infantry seized the fort of Jhansi and containing the treasure and magazine. And after persuading the British to lay down their arms by promising them no harm, Then they broke their word and massacred 40 to 60 European officers of the garrison along with their wives and children. Then there was an invasion of Jhansi by the forces of company allies Orcha and Datia, and their intention was to divide Jhansi between themselves. Then comes the siege of Jhansi. So then it was said that after this massacre, which was done by the mutineers, right here, as you can see here, for 40 to 60 European officers, they were killed, and it was said that it was blamed upon Rani of Jhansi, and because of that, British got very they were very they got very furious, and that's why they thought of seizing Jhansi as a whole. Then Hugh, he was the commanding officer of the British forces. He demanded the surrender of the city, and then if it won't surrender, it will be destroyed. So then, after due deliberation, the Rani of Jhansi issued a proclamation that we fight for independence. In the words of Lord Krishna, we will win if we are victorious, enjoy the fruits of victory. If defeated and killed on the battlefield, we shall surely earn eternal glory and salvation, which she did. She defended Jhansi against British troops when Hugh Roach, he besieged this Jhansi on 23rd March 1858. Then the bombardment of Jhansi began on 24th March, and it was met by heavy return fire. Right, so it was Jhansi was well defended, and the damaged defenses were also repaired. And the defenders then they sent an appeal to for help to Tatya Tope. An army of more than 20,000 headed by Tatya Tope was sent to relieve Jhansi, but they failed to do so when they fought the British on 31st March, and during the battle with Tatya Tope forces, part of the British forces continued the siege, and by 2nd April it was decided to launch an assault by the breach in the walls. But then there was determined resistance, in every street in the Jhansi and every room of the palace. People bravely fought the British. Then Rani had to withdraw from the palace to the fort after taking counsel. She decided that since the resistance in the city was useless unless Tatya Tope doesn't join them, so according to the tradition, with the Damodar Rao, his son, on her back, she tied him on her back, and she jumped on her horse, that is Badal, from the fort, and they survived, but the horse died. Then Rani escaped in the night with her son, surrounded by guards. She decamped to Kalpi with a few guards, and she joined additional rebel forces including Tatya Tope, and they occupied the town of Kalpi and prepared to defend it. On 22nd May, British forces attacked Kalpi. When they came to know about that Rani of Jhansi is there, the forces commanded by Jhansi herself were again defended, and but Rani Jhansi's forces kind of defeated because they were all obviously outnumbered. Then flight to Gwalior. So the leaders like Rani of Jhansi, Tatya Tope, Nawab of Banda, and Rao Sahib fled once more. They came to Gwalior, and they joined the forces who now held the city. So Maharaja Sindhia, having fled to Agra from the battlefield at Morar. So all of them came at a point, and they met. Then they moved on to Gwalior, intending to occupy the strategic Gwalior fort, and rebel forces occupied the city without opposition. Then the rebel proclaimed Nana Sahib as Peshwa of a revived Maratha dominion. So they kind of wanted to revive Maratha empire as well, and then together they can fight the British and they can ward off them. So this was their plan. And and then Rao Sahib was made the Subedar in Gwalior. But Rani Lakshmi Bai was unsuccessful in trying to persuade the other rebel leaders to prepare to defend Gwalior against British attack. Because next British were to come to Gwalior only, right? So then General Rose, right? Hugh Rose, his forces took Morar on 16 June and then made successful attack on the city. So even though she tried so much hard, she was not successful. but she kept fighting and organizing. Then on 17th June in Kota ki Sarai near the Phool Bagh of Gwalior, a squadron of the 8th King's Royal Irish Hussars under the captain Heneage, so they fought with the Indian force, and it was commanded by Rani Lakshmi Bai. So such was the capacity and caliber of Rani Lakshmi Bai. Then the 8th Hussars, they charged into the Indian forces. They slaughtered around 5,000 Indian soldiers and anyone Indian above the age of 16. Rani Lakshmi Bai put on a Savar's uniform and attacked one of the Hussars, and she was unhorsed and was badly wounded. Then shortly afterwards she sat bleeding by the roadside, and she recognized the soldier and fired at him with a pistol, whereupon he dispatched the young lady with his carbine. Then according to another tradition, it is said that the Rani Lakshmi Bai, the queen of Jhansi, was dressed as cavalry leader, and she was badly wounded, but not wishing to capture her body by the British, she told a hermit to burn it. And after her death, a few local people cremated her body. The British captured the city of Gwalior after 3 days, and in the British report of this battle, Hugh Gross, who was the commander, he commented that Rani Lakshmi Bai is personable, clever and beautiful, and she is the most dangerous of all Indian leaders. So even the enemies kind of praised, he was praising her. So Hugh Gross reported that she had been buried with great ceremony under a tamarind tree under the rock of Gwalior, where I saw her bones and ashes. Her tomb is in the Phool Bagh area of Gwalior, which you can see here. And there are a number of patriotic songs which have been written about her, and the most famous one is even we would have you would have studied during your school days. It was written by Subhadra Kumari Chauhan. In Hindi it was, and it was like a popular stanza from it reads, बुंदेले हर बोलो के मुँह से हमने सुनी कहानी थी, खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी, which means from the bards of Bundela, right? Bundela was a part, and we have heard this story. She fought valiantly like a warrior woman. She was the queen of Jhansi. And with this, the great saga of Rani Lakshmi Bai comes to an end. If you like this episode, please subscribe, please like and share this video as much as you can. We'll meet in the next one. Thank you so much.